And the quicker we can accept that, I think the quicker we can move on and actually be focused in our life. Because, what you focus on is what you're going to spend the most time on. And if you focus on, oh, I have no time, I'm so exhausted, I have all this stuff. Well, now that becomes such a big part of your reality that it's literally all you think about. Welcome to Empowered Homefront Podcast, where we talk about health, wealth, and relationships. And let's not forget about the most important one, and that is faith. Because I believe that we all have been lied to, and we're going to skill stack our way all the way to success and bring you on the journey with us.
I think my scheduling needs to be better, because you and I have even talked about the fitness thing and how me and you are constantly going back like, yeah, we need to get healthier. We need to get healthier. I'm saying no to that. Like, I'll be honest, there in the very beginning when I worked with you, started working with you.
So freaking fat.
In the beginning when I was working with you, I was under the impression of like, Eric wants me to be balls to the wall. Like, sometimes I even thought like, I wonder if he forgets that I have a W-2 job. But at the same time, if you asked me like, hey, where are we at on this? And I told you like, hey, dude, I'm going to the gym now. I'm in the gym from 2 to 3 every day now, like working on my health. I'll get back to Empowered Homefront, TLC, whatever we're working on. You'd be like, all right, dude.
Yeah.
So, like, I
mean, it shows priorities, man. And it's like going back to that balance. Like, there's no such thing as freaking balance, dude. Like,
saying
you're
yes
always being pulled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wish I had a rubber band right now, but like, you just stretch that rubber band and like, this is bandwidth, right? And I know I talked to you about this a couple of days ago with Erica and like what she needs to focus on, dude. Like, some people, they're not ready to hear growth mindset things. Like, they're not ready for all these things. And their rubber band is already stretched so freaking tight. It's about to pop. Right. And it's just with regular life. It's just with the daily life things that they got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're talking about right now, right? Like, oh, well, I got a W-2 and I want to go work out and all that, dude. Those are priorities, right? And no leader out there should ever be like, hey, like, no, you need to do this and not work out. Like, what? You going to tell somebody not to worry about the health? Now, if you was going to like hang out with your buddies and playing video games, I was like, bro, I'm going to go find somebody else. Like, we're not a good fit. Right? Because like, no, like your priorities are not aligned with mine, but like you're focused on yourself, and it takes that, right? And there's only so many hours in a day, Yeah. But and I think, with the Empowered Homefront thing, whoever you are in the relationship, are you the roller coaster or are you the carousel? We forget that about the other party, and their rubber band's already stretched so freaking tight, and it's just like, man, dude, like right now I started this about 2 weeks ago with the kids, and they have a morning routine. And whenever I talk about morning routine, it's not this feel good mambo jumbo from all these gurus or whatever. Like, a morning routine is just structure, right? That's what it means. It means to get up and do the things that need to be done. That way you don't have to worry about doing other things the rest of the day. You get to do whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You get to do extra activity, but that doesn't happen without structure. And with structure comes freedom. Right? So like, they already get up and, brush their teeth, brush their hair, get ready for the day. They work out, and then they come in, they start with a brain food. Well, now we just added one called the house sweep. Right. And I'm like, we're sweeping the house, and this is for Lori. So Lori, like, last couple of weeks, we've been having like issues where she's really upset and really stressed, and I'm trying to come in and help her, and she doesn't need me to fix the problem. Instead, what she needed me to do at the time was listen to her. But the whole time in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, like, what's the real issue here? What's really going on? And she's done built up this thing. This is from my observation, not hers. So like, she's done built up this thing where her rubber band's always stretched out to the max. Like yesterday, dude, she spent 6.5 hours at gymnastics. Because we have 2 kids in gymnastics, and there's like an hour delay. Both of them have a 3-hour practice, right? So whatever that math is, And so like her whole day is there. And then while they was there, she went and got a new lease signed. She did a turnover inspection, and she went to Costco, and she came back and got the kids, and then went back to Costco. Right. So like, she did money making things, she did household things, and she's taking care of the kids. Like, dude, her bandwidth is maxed, right? And then she comes home and she hears me like, "Oh, did you do this? Did you do that? Hey, where are you at on this?" And just adds to the fire. And I'm working on this thing now. It's just like, babe, like that's never going to end. Can we just accept that? Right? Can we accept the fact that we're not privileged enough to like not be maxed out? Like it's just our life. Like, and the quicker we can accept that, I think the quicker we can move on and actually be focused in our life. Because what you focus on is what you're going to spend the most time on. And if you focus on, oh, I have no time, I'm so exhausted, I have all this stuff, well, now that becomes such a big part of your reality that it's literally all you think about. Instead, just accept the fact, I've got things to do every day. I'm always busy. Right. And whenever other people go, you're always working, you're always doing this thing, I'm like, yeah, but let's figure out who retires before they're 30 or who retires before they're 40. Let's figure out who does that. Like, enjoy your 70s.
Yeah.
Right.
May I interrupt you? Can I interrupt you for a second? I want to backtrack a little bit, because what you're saying now is a problem I had that I have finally got a solution to. So we're all about problems and solutions. Let me share.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So I mentioned this before, I think, about, well, Eric and I were having, no, I'd actually talked to my buddy Mark about it, because he was having problems with his wife about family meeting, sitting down, and she just goes and does stuff, and it's like, well, I want to do this, and it was just the issue was communication. He finally developed a plan to sit down and be like, hey, we're doing a family meeting, you don't have to do none of the talking. Oh my God, someone's calling me.
Answer it, bring them on, be like, you're live on a podcast, welcome to the Powered Home Front.
Yes, baby.
Oh, it's her.
Yesterday? I did not get any Dr. Pepper, no.
And you bring that poison into the house.
It's Dr. Pepper Zero.
That makes all the difference in the world, that fake sugar.
No, I don't need anything else. All right, I love you too. Bye.
Should have been like, you don't know how to text?
I don't know. She probably did text me, but my phone's on do not disturb except for when she calls. Well, there's the wife, everybody. But so the communication with my buddy and his wife, and then I was having communications with her. I kept asking her, hey, when are your appointments? When are your appointments? When are your appointments? And she's like, oh, it's this. And she'll tell me, and it's just a fleeting, I'm not absorbing the information. And so I'm like, hey, if you're going to use Google, I started using Google Calendars because of her. And because that's what she uses. It was easier for me to adapt to using Google Calendars than it was for her to write it down on the paper calendar downstairs that I use for my work shifts. So I have a paper calendar hangs on the wall right in the kitchen. You see it first thing. It has all my work shifts written on it. And I do that for her. So I asked, hey, share your Google Calendar events so I know when your times are, so I can be ready in the morning to drive you. And she just kept refusing. She kept refusing. Or maybe she was just forgetting. Who knows? So anyway, I was like, I need to know all of your stuff through the week so I can plan my stuff as well. We need to have this meeting to get this done. And that conversation actually turned out to be our family meeting instead of sitting down and doing it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, dude, I came home yesterday from work and I looked at my calendar on the wall with all my shifts, and there was nothing but like pink written all over it. And at first I got angry, and I'm like, why is there pink all over my calendar? Because I use green. Green's my favorite color. And I know I'm being a clown right now. And I looked at it and she had her whole schedule written all the way down the paper calendar. And I looked and I went, holy cow, that is a lot of stuff that I did not know about.
Yeah.
So now I know, on top of her keeping the house clean, making sure that there's diapers stacked, there's wipes stacked, like there's food stacked, like she does all that stuff. You know, she started really embracing the housewife thing, the stay-at-home mom type thing, whatever you want to call it. She started really embracing that. And
Homemaker.
homemaker, she is the homemaker. And guess what? She loves it, ladies. She absolutely loves it. Um, and that solved everything. Like, I told her, I was like, okay, like now I understand why you're so wound up,
Yeah.
because you have all this stuff going on that I've asked you to include me in, and you didn't, and you're not wondering why I'm getting upset, because then I'm sitting around twiddling my thumbs, or I'm working, and then you come in and go, hey, we got to go. Where we got to go? Like, you know? So
Yeah.
that finally solved that. What I want to tie into you and Lori is, do you think Lori has an issue of when she gets all that stuff done, like she did all those, 5 things while she was at gymnastics that day for 6 hours? Does she have an issue communicating that to you and letting you know what she got done, so you don't have to be like, "Hey, Lori, did you get that done? Hey, Lori, we need to get this done." Like, does she have that
uh,
communication issue? And what I'm getting at is, if she does, have you had that talk with her where it's like, "Hey, if you just tell me these things that you got done and we're transparent with one another, then things would be a lot less tense." I know from my problem, that was our solution, is furthering our communication. And it went from, "No, I'm not writing on the calendar," to, "I have everything in Google Calendars,"
so
and she went back and wrote everything on the calendar, and I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, that's
So
what a
I got a couple of questions for you. One,
yeah,
out of all that stuff that's written on your calendar now from her, what are
yeah."
you involved in?
I'm involved in everything,
You're involved in all that stuff.
because a lot of that stuff is treatments during the week that I have to drive her to because she becomes inebriated from the treatment.
Oh, so you got to actually drive her. So you're involved in all those appointments.
Yes, and then except for the one on Monday, I'm at
So
work.
what is she getting done? What all is this that she's getting done that like you're not a part of?
That I'm not a part of is, like, she started taking on the chores that we had divided up, where it was like, what do you feel responsible for? What what do you think she's responsible for? And
Yeah.
then I think I talked about previously, and then we combined them together. Then it was like, oh, these little menial ones, like, oh, do the both people can do the laundry. Like, I don't want her touching the lawnmower. Don't touch my lawnmower. I'll go cut the grass, type thing. So, like, she started taking on a lot of the stuff that we both wrote down that both people could do. So she started, like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm telling you, this house, I mean, having a kid, like, his little play area is always a wreck because he's always just destroyed it. But the house is always in order now, because
Yeah,
she's
see, I think
always,
that's awesome, dude. I mean, what I'm hearing is she's starting to step up into the wife role, right? Into the
yeah,
homemaker role.
yeah,
See, that's
she
awesome.
is. And there was no communication, because I would come home and be like, what did you do today?
Yeah.
And
So,
she would be like, well, what do you mean? What did I do today? It's like, I don't know. You don't tell me. I'm not included. I have no idea what your schedule's like. And it's not, and I don't know if that's because she has past issues with her father, where it was like a guy barking at her all the time and telling her like all these nasty things.
no.
And she thinks male authority is like some big evil thing. Or it's just like, she just thinks that, hey, I'm in my own little world. Like, I only see myself doing it. This is what I'm going to do. And I was
Yeah.
like, I had to tell her this morning too. Let me get this out real quick. We're constantly reminding each other that we're a team. And this morning I got up with Axel at 5:30. Like, I set my alarm and laid in bed for a minute, and I looked at the monitor and he was awake. So I got up with him and he's drinking his bottle. I'm eating breakfast, and 7:15 rolls around and I hear her get up. She's like, "Oh, well, I got to take him to or to drop him off the nannies, and then I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z." And I'm like, I was like, "What do you think I'm doing up?" Like, she's like, "Oh, I didn't think you were going to take him." I was like, "Okay. Well, I said, why didn't you ask me to take him?" I asked her that. I said, "Why didn't you ask me to take him?" And she said, "Why didn't you offer?" And
Ooh.
I looked at her and I told her this. I said, "Who has the problem with asking for help, and who needs to get growth in that?" And she goes, "Well, I have anxiety because I don't know what your reaction is going to be." I said, "That ain't my problem." I said, "That is you." I said, "You need to practice asking for help. And then you have to accept the reaction that somebody has from you, because we are a team and you should be able to ask me little things like that. I said, I'm your husband. I'm not going to tell you to F off. Like, no, you do it. I was like, you do a lot. I was like, you do a lot around here. I was like, and I drive him around a lot too, but and then she was like, it's fine. Like, I'll take him this morning. I still have to go grocery shopping. I got to go to the post office. I got to do XYZ. And I was like, okay, cool. It's like, if you still need me to take him, like, I'm going to, but you need to practice asking. It's like, that's part of our communication. Dude, she does. She hates asking. She will stress herself out and snap her bandwidth rubber band by taking so much on because she doesn't ask for help. And I'll be honest with you, dude, correct me if I'm wrong, but offering over and over again gets really fucking tiresome.
Well, yeah. So a couple of things in here, man. A couple of things in here. One, efficiency, brain power, like bandwidth in your brain power, and then also back to efficiency. So, like, communicating efficiency, right? Communicating expectations. I think that's one of the biggest things that's just overlooked because we expect for our expectation of efficiency to be explained, like self-explanatory. Right. So like y'all's first issue is like you never clearly communicated to her what was needed to be done and what you expected her to do. Right. Like that was the first thing. Y'all got past that. And now you're into this other phase where like, okay, hey, progress, great. Right. And now she's trying to ask for help. So me and Lori still has this issue. Lori will not ask me for help. Like when she asks me for help, I know that she is maxed out and there's no way possible for her to get it done. But mine and your life completely different. And I'm sure it's a lot of the same, but like we do not have like the medical things that y'all have got going on where it takes literally both of y'all. Like we do not have that. All right. But what we do have is like, all of the properties and everything that takes a lot of our bandwidth both ways. And then all the 3 kids activities. And when I describe that as homemaker, right, let's think about this. What in the 60s, like that's when women rights and all that stuff started coming out really loud somewhere around that time. And, if you think about why that happened, all right, and there's like historical documents on this. I'm not just making this up, but like if you look at the time from then till now and what a woman means in a household, completely different. Like it's unrecognizable. Women don't know how to cook. They barely know how to clean. Like women nowadays, except mine and some of these other good women, like, dude, they're complete slobs. They're they're exactly like the men, right? Like there's no difference in them. Now, when we talk about the team concept, like, are we on the same team or are we in competition? What's being taught in the childhood? Like what's being taught in the household? So like earlier, I was going to tell you about this sweep that we're doing. So like now the kids have their morning routine. And then also to help Lori's bandwidth, they do the house sweep every morning. Very simple. It takes less than 10 minutes, right? One person runs around all the bedrooms, grabs all the dirty clothes and takes them to the laundry room and throws them in the laundry and starts the load if it needs to be, right? Like I'm teaching Jackson, who's like just turned 7, how to do that. He can push a button. All right. He can dump a load in there. All right. Like we don't have to worry about that. He can take out the clothes and put it in the dryer. Right. Like these are basic skills, dude, like that they have to learn anyway. Right. One person does that and another person sweeps around the kitchen because that's where all the heaviest traffic is. And that's where all the trash is. Another person does the dishes. Another person runs around and picks up the dishes in the living room if there is any. Like every once in a while, there'll be a cup laying around, right? And then another person runs around all the bathrooms and just dumps the trash in the trash. And now the whole house is picked up. It's done. Plus clothes is being caught up with, right? The clothes, like, dude, I don't know how women do it, right? Like, I mean, I've never really been single in my entire life, like, high school sweethearts, but like I don't know how women keep up with 5 sets of clothes.
Dude, we have 3 people in the house, and that laundry machine, that washer's never
Never
off.
stops.
No.
Yeah. Goes nonstop. And then they do all that while they run out and do all these other things. And what I'm laying the foundation for is thinking about the 60s, women's rights and all these things. And then how all of a sudden this propaganda, right? That's what media is called, right? CNN, all this stuff is propaganda. Everything has an agenda. And they start pushing out these ideologies. And now the woman leaves the household, and now they go out into the working force and they're doing this. Well, now who's taking care of the household?
Both people when they come home, like,
And then they're angry and they're mad at each other all the time. They're stressed and their rubber band is stretched so freaking wide. And the woman's like, well, not only do I work now, but I come home and I clean the house and I do this and I do that. And the man's like, I went to work too. And he doesn't come home and clean, like, and if he does, well, I mean, you got a good man, like men should help out around the house if both parties are working. But, like, depending on what that scenario is, because, you can also argue double-edged sword again. Well, nowadays it takes 2 people to have a full-time job in order to survive. Because one person makes 40 grand a year, the other person makes 40 grand a year. Together they make 80. And then after they pay taxes, they're left with 40, right? Like, that's sad fact. You pay about 51% of tax. All right. So that's what it takes to survive. And like doing these little things, man, like your communication on efficiency obviously has gotten way better. And then actually setting that expectation. So like whenever she wrote down all that stuff on the calendar, what I'm hearing from you is like, well, I need to see what you're doing. I need to be able to see what you're doing because I need to have that clarity and that understanding so I can just check this box off and I don't have to use my mental brain power of thinking about, is this being done all the time? Right. And that's what you're really trying to accomplish. Right. You're like, is this being done? Because I'm new to this husband wife thing too. Right. Like I'm still trying to figure out, oh, I've got someone else that I can depend on to do this whenever like, would you get married at 33, 34, 32?
So 34, I think.
34, yeah. So like last year, you only been married a year?
May will be 2 years. So yeah, I was 34.
Dude, it's 2 years. It's not that hard to remember.
Well, I'll be 30.
Me and Lori's been together for 19 years, bro.
Yeah, May 20. Well, I know the date. May 21st will be 2 years.
Okay. So 2 years, so you're very new to all of this, like there's a brand new business relationship, the business of life. Right. And, then you got other life things coming in here. Y'all are trying to figure this out, working together. And like the whole the calendar thing, like her stepping up and writing her things down. Beautiful, bro. Like, she's checking those boxes for you.
Yeah.
Right? Does she need to do that forever though?
No, not for.
Once she earns your trust, well, now you can mentally do it and like, boom, done. Like, hey, yeah, I got Erica. She's part of my team. She's going to get it done. Like with Lori, like you asked me, like, does she communicate what she do every day? And this is the reason, like, I shared that whole thing with you, because she's a 1960s homemaker. All right. She has never worked. I've always provided for the family and she's always been at home. All right. And reason I say that is because whenever we first got married, that's what she wanted. And that's what I promised her as a husband that I would give her. And again, goes back to like the 2 households, like two people working in order to survive. Like it takes both of us. So not only does she have to help with the household stuff, but she also has to step up to the business stuff too, right? She has to be involved a little bit. Mm-hmm. Now she's not solely responsible for it, but at the same time, we're a team. Same thing as a household. I'm not solely responsible for the household, but whenever I see an issue, hey, kids, let's start this new thing. Let's do this house sweep every morning because it helps mama. Now mama doesn't have to have a stack of clothes, 5 feet tall and have to divvy it out anymore. Like Why? You know, sad part is, why did it take me this long to figure out the whole house suite? You know, like, dude,
Because we're always growing.
we're always growing, you know? And
Growing.
Lori, you're like, hey, why don't she ask for help? Lori doesn't know how to ask for help. Neither, well, I ask for help, but like it's more like demanding help. But it's always because we're super overwhelmed, right? And whenever we ask for help, normally it's because it's too late. And that's the big thing. It's whenever we ask for help, it's always too late. Instead, as a team, right, like a business, you would not wait 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, 4 months to have a team and a business meeting to rehash what's your profitability, what's your loss, what's all these things. Same thing with marriages. Why do marriages do it? You're a business. A country is a business. A church is a business. You have to make money. You have to spend money. So why do we think it's any different, right? So like as a marriage, well, hey, how are we communicating? What can I do better to help you, right? And y'all are doing this, you know. It's it's just that it never ends and you continuously grow. So like with Lori, do she accomplishes stuff? I have no clue what she does. Neither do I care because we've already checked that box off and I can depend on her to do it.